our process and the way we follow through and execute will be more efficient.
We're going to be leaner out of this. We're going to be more efficient out of this. And we're going to be probably a lot more strategic out of this. Here, I'm doing a Zoom meeting with my friend and colleague, Alex Rodriguez. Hi, Alex. How you doing?
What's up, Nick? Great to see you.
Great to see you too. You look fit and healthy. I think what you and I are going to talk about today is, you know, from a business perspective, I think you said it well, and I know it was one of your broadcasts or something you said where this is like a really long rain delay, and you've dealt with rain delays in your career, and you either got to come out of that rain delay ready to play again and sharper and with higher mental acuity because it's usually later in the night, or you come out weaker. People know you as a 3-time MVP, a 14-time All-Star, and obviously World Series champ. But some of them don't know you as founder and CEO of A-Rod Corp. Mm-hmm. So what exactly is A-Rod Corp?
Well, A-Rod Corp is my investment vehicle. You know, we do 3 things. We invest in real estate and operate real estate, and we do private equity and venture deals. And on the real estate side, we have a fully integrated real estate company from finding the asset, underwriting it, buying it, and then managing it. And we've been doing that for a long time, over 15 years now. I can't believe it. And on the venture side, we make usually A and B investments, Series A, Series B. We like companies that are growing and companies that we can bring more than capital, that we're passionate, that we understand it really well, and that our senior management team at A-Rod Corp can actually influence the bottom line, whether that's taking a board seat or whether that's being at the service of CEOs and founders to make their world a better place. And that may be helping them recruit talent at this level they're not able to recruit. So taking our platform and our muscle at A-Rod Corp and helping those young founders do great things. One of them, we're taking a company public here in the next few months, which I'm really excited about.
Amazing, amazing. That's it's quite an accomplishment. It leads me to think, there's many GOATs in sports who have also built an empire beyond sports. I think of Magic Johnson. I think of Shaquille O'Neal, and now you're following in their footsteps. So, what did you take from your sports life to allow you to embark in this journey? And after the successful career in sports, what is the end game for Alex Rodriguez?
Yeah, great question, Nick. I mean, I think it starts with, I've always felt I was a businessman that played baseball, and I just happened to play baseball for a really long time. But ever since I was 10 years old, when I grew up as a young lad with my father watching Yankees and Mets games, I saw him, and he had an entrepreneur spirit, and he loved baseball. And I'm kind of, I think, Victor Rodriguez, I think 2.0. And we mentioned Magic Johnson and Greg Norman. Those are 2 that I looked up to. And, looking at Magic, I looked at a guy that was great on the basketball floor, on the court, and has become great at business and now has built an empire. Same thing with a guy like Greg Norman. And the lessons that I brought from baseball to the boardroom has been a lot of the same messages that, the boss, George Steinbrenner, taught me. And that means team first, no shortcuts. His thing is win at all costs. I think there's a middle ground to that. But ultimately it's about great people and great team and everybody pulling in the same direction and checking your ego at the door.
Nice. And yeah, Greg Norman, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Alex Rodriguez has a nice hook to it. And I think it's wonderful that, you give credit to our parents. I mean, and that's another thing as you read through with COVID-19 and how it's affected people, and that's such a great testament. I feel the same way about my folks as well. Another thing that I always have had high admiration for you, but was really, really impressed with the Presidente beer partnership. And what I like about that is you didn't come out as saying, "Hey, someone's giving me a check and I want you to drink this beer." You're the chairman of Presidente. And, this is a big company. I think it's owned by InBev, right? It's with you and InBev, of course, that's your partner. And tell us what was your mindset getting into that relationship where it isn't just about, hey, pay me $1 to hold a beer up. It was invest with me, partner with me, and let's grow this company. How did that come to be, and what have the results been today?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put a picture of what's the perfect deal for A-Rod Corp, I would say is this partnership with Presidente and Anheuser-Busch. Number one, you're getting to do business with one of the great American companies of all time, with great history and an incredible management team, with the ability to scale as well as any other company when it comes to alcohol in the world. That was really interesting. When you think about Presidente, it was so close to my heart. I mean, it would be like you, Nick, you're Canadian. It would be like, talking about hockey. For us in Dominican Republic, it's baseball, is the Caribbean way, which is a happy way, and it's Presidente. The first thing you do when you land in my country, Dominican Republic, is you get a cold fria Presidente. And anybody who's been to Dominican Republic will attest for that. But I thought the combination of what I brought to Presidente was something they needed, and it just kind of weaved in beautifully to think that over 99% of the people in the Dominican Republic know about Presidente, and less than 14% in the US know about Presidente. We saw that 86% as white space and an opportunity to grow and scale. And then is the magic part is you have Anheuser-Busch that has the distribution channel to help us execute that goal. So there's a partnership where 1 + 1 = 10.
Wow, really, really well said. And for those, I mean, for anyone who's going to watch this video and anyone wants to learn something, that was a ringing endorsement of how to do an organic partnership, where this is a partnership that is, if you can't explain a partnership quickly and succinctly in an elevator pitch, it shouldn't be a partnership, because then it's forced. You're right. That ticks all the boxes for being natural and kind of speaks to who you are. And are you happy with it? Are you happy with the results so far, Alex?
I mean, Nick, we've had this partnership for about 6 months, and we've probably now six times our revenue in comparison to last year at this time, and that's in the middle of this pandemic. It's an incredible partnership. We're going to do great things. We're going to involve Major League Baseball. We're going to do things hopefully on Shark Tank and other partnerships that I have to help grow and help out. And then we're going to give back into the community, starting in New York, in the Bronx, in Queens, and in Miami.
Terrific. I can say, it's funny if you follow Alex on social media, it's, there's a lot of great import beers, and you think of, I'm going to say some competitors for a second, you automatically think, even though it's not Dominican, you think of a Modelo, or you think of a Corona. And I've switched, and I not only are we friends, but I switched because it also gives you that, I don't know, it seems more organic, more natural, and it's great. It's a great beer.
Thank you. We're very proud of it, and we're excited. And I'm going to send you the Presidente Light, which is even better and is even lighter. So you're already in great shape. You don't need my help.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen me in person. I've got my quarantine 15. I need to work.
I can't wait to get to your new office though. That I'm going to do for sure soon.
Yeah, with this great Zoom setup. We'll have to 6 feet apart.
So Nick, you work for ABG. First, tell us what ABG stands for, and you're one of the great entrepreneurs, one of the most creative minds I've ever been around, and I've enjoyed working with you, spending time in your office, sitting in your couch, brainstorming about how to take companies to the next level and thinking outside the box. Nick, you are the epitome of that. Tell us a little bit about ABG and how are you doing?
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for those kind words. ABG it stands for Authentic Brands Group, and that's exactly what its title kind of speaks for itself. And it was founded by my business partner Jamie almost 10 years, about 10 years ago. And it's the idea that there's a lot of nascent intellectual property or brands whose value either needs to be re-unlocked or unlocked. There's a lot more value in those brands, and we have pivoted and morphed along the way to being from an intellectual property licensor to a full-blown entertainment brand and marketing company with north of 50 brands that we own. Pre-COVID, close to $13 billion in global retail sales. 40% of our business comes from outside the U.S. And you know, it's probably an overused word these days, but we really have disrupted the brand retail, e-commerce and licensing space. And that's what ABG does, or Authentic Brands Group.
So I see that you're in lifestyle, entertainment, and media. You're crossing over in a lot of these brands. Give us one example of a company that was stalling a bit that you've taken to the next level.
Yeah, great question. I mean, most recently, I think of one of our most recent acquisitions, which is Sports Illustrated, which is, you know, iconic, you know, globally known as the most trusted name in sports. And you know, you think of what one of their terrific assets and mediums was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. And, you know, we helped the team pivot it from just being a magazine to more of a lifestyle extension. And we most recently launched SI Swim. SI Swim from a merchandise perspective. Sales have been amazing right out the gate. And this idea, as you know, of combining the power of content, the power of media, and then the power of great product. So that triangulation is just one example of how we've extended that. And also, I'll say that if you look at some of the other acquisitions, you know, whether it's Aeropostale or Forever 21, two large, you know, venerable U.S. retailers, and with our partnership with Simon Properties, we've been able to prove that, you know, brick and mortar is strong, brick and mortar is here to stay, and at the same time increase the digital footprint. So that's been another exciting thing for us, that revitalizing retail brands and revitalizing media and lifestyle brands.
I love what you guys are doing. The importance that you guys talk about all the time at ABG is digital innovation. And when I see that you have, I read over 230 million followers on your social media platforms combined, tell us what's next for ABG in the digital space and how you incorporate it into your partnerships and your future partnerships.
Wow, that is it's a fulsome question. It's a great question. I think of this, particularly with what's happened during quarantine, is, you know, the growth of online sales and marketplaces. And I just spoke about brick and mortar, but this idea that you can make this an omni-channel experience. And if you think of, you know, listen, Jeff Bezos, to his credit, has built arguably, you know, the largest online marketplace in the world. And what you'll see from ABG is that we're going to have, you know, some of our websites, like at forever21.com, you'll see that expand to be a marketplace. So it won't just sell Forever 21 merchandise. We'll sell items that would go with potentially what the young lady or gentleman who's shopping on the site, they might not want Forever 21 footwear with their choice. Maybe they want a different brand of footwear. So you're going to see us expanding that, because having 7 or 8 million uniques visit Forever 21 a month from a website perspective is powerful, and those are eyeballs. So how can we give them something else from a marketplace perspective that maybe just isn't Forever 21? As well as you're going to see this idea of utilizing, you know, since the pandemic's happened, our click ratio from Instagram into purchase has been much higher than ever before. So we'll continue to grow, you know, social feeds into commerce, and we'll continue to provide, continue and enhance to provide content to folks from a social perspective that helps to complete or enhance their purchase as well. So the idea of converting content to commerce, and not just doing it from a complete click-through rate, but also providing compelling content, much like you provide compelling content when you add color commentary to a baseball feed. As one of your, you got about 20 jobs. That's one of your jobs, right? You're enhancing the viewer's experience. We're looking at enhancing the user's experience. If they're buying something, what else can we do to make that experience better?
You know, I love what you guys do at ABG. One of the aspects that I think our listeners or viewers may not know is that you also represent brands that are living brands, whether that's living and dead, whether that's, you know, Elvis Presley or Marilyn Monroe, or living icons like Shaquille O'Neal and Greg Norman. And talking to Shaquille, he is such an advocate of ABG. He said you guys have tripled or quadrupled his business. Now, I don't have real data, but he is so thrilled to be your partner. And if there's athletes out there, I know you guys are talking to the best of the best at all times. What I love is you've become kind of the new Berkshire Hathaway. And what I mean by that, Nick, is that when people are in trouble, they first pick up the phone and call Jamie Salter, and they call you, Nick, because they know that you can take something that's almost dead, a month or two from bankruptcy, and I've seen you guys do this many times, and before you know it, they become a juggernaut again by just refiguring the way they go about their business. Whether Sports Illustrated, and lately you've been on the news with Brooks Brothers and Lucky Brand, you've been very active on the M&A space, and I have a feeling that post-COVID-19, you'll be stronger than ever before. My question is, what other acquisitions or types, we don't want you to give us any secrets, but what's in the acquisition future for ABG?
Alex, you just hit the nail on the head, is that many of these brands, the brand isn't broken, the model is broken, right? So if you can reinvent that model around a terrific brand, really the sky's the limit. And being in partnership with Shaquille and Greg, we helped same way, we unlocked different value that they were not able to see. And you mentioned two that have been in the news. So I guess we could talk about them. They've been in the Wall Street Journal, et cetera. Brooks Brothers and Lucky. There's a lot of other brands that we continue to be very acquisitive, and we continue to look for brands that most of all are famous brands, they're global brands, and do they have a large digital footprint? Because that is so incredibly important for us. And if you think of a brand like Brooks Brothers, different statistics, but arguably the oldest brand in America, lots of terrific history there, and lots of a great foundation to build on. Now, there's some work to go before we acquire both of those brands, but you mentioned my partner, Jamie, who's arguably one of the best deal guys in the world. And he's on it, and we're on it together with many exciting brands, as well as in that celebrity space, whether they're not with us or whether they're with us. And, I think I'm very humbled you compare us to Berkshire Hathaway, but the other way to look at this too is we also are, in a way, we're a new age agency. I mean, that we don't represent, we partner with and own IP together with Shaquille and Greg and Neil Lane and Talia Matola and Julius Irving. So having those together, it's the decision making becomes much more strategic and less tactical. So it's not about, to your point on Presidente, this isn't a endorsement. An endorsement is one of the 360s. Yes, you're endorsing the product, but then you're involved with the business. You're in the boardroom. You're enjoying the beer. You're advising, you're coaching, and you're bringing it along in every aspect of your life. And that's exactly what we're doing with with any brand that we partner with or we acquire.
What people often ask me, tell me what ABG, people are so fascinated by ABG. It's one of the great companies, and you have some of the greatest investors in the world that back ABG. You're a huge shareholder, so I'm going to come to you for a loan when you guys go public. But when people ask me, this is how I describe it, Nick. I say, look, they're less like Sears and they're more like Amazon. And the reason why, you're not owning bricks and mortar and have tons of overhead. What you do is you own IP, which is basically like a cloud. And you have tremendous income, both on revenue and EBITDA, because the cash flow is consistent, is predictable, and is reoccurring. So as an investor, if you guys ever go IPO, if you ever go public, I'm certainly going to be an investor, because I'm such a believer in the model that is made for 2020 and future, and also in your senior management team. Tell us a little bit about this incredibly tough time for all businesses and people. I know we spoke in March, the world was falling apart. How have you adjusted, one? And two, how has ABG been better, and how will you be better coming out of this?
Well, Alex, I'm going to do this from memory. You had an Instagram story, and it stuck with me. And it said, I don't want to go back to the way it was. I want to go to where it should be. And I've actually used that in my head, because I don't want to look back. And the only way I'm going to look back is say, how can we as a company, how can we improve on past practices, either that's with our businesses or with our people. And what we're going to do is we're going to take every time we've been able to leverage something that we're doing today, I'm writing it down and I'm saying, guys and girls, let's apply this to anything new that we're doing. So we're going to be leaner out of this. We're going to be more efficient out of this. And we're going to be probably a lot more strategic out of this. And I know those are kind of big consultant-like words, but we're taking those words and applying them to everything. I'll give you some real world examples that, our international business is really, really strong. And the time frame to do international deals used to be a lot longer because, you know, you would travel and you get FaceTime and you talk and you come back and forth. Now with Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Blue Jeans or whatever it may be, it's such an accepted form of business that we're going to be able to close partnerships a lot quicker and more rapidly and kind of get the execution part. Because it's you know, the negotiation, the due diligence is so important. But at the same time, if that can be compressed and you feel good about it and you can execute, because I think, you know, we have a motto here is you know, we evaluate and then we plan and then we execute. I'd rather the evaluate and plan, I'd rather shrink that timeline and go to the execution phase. And COVID has taught us to shrink that because we've had to be more efficient with things like accepting that, hey, let's not wait till you fly into New York for a meeting. Let's not wait to go to Hong Kong for the meeting. Let's do the meeting now. It might be at midnight, our time. Let's get on Zoom and let's get the deal done, and then we can execute. And that's probably been the biggest takeaway for us, that we can compress the timeline to get into the execution phase a lot more.
I love it. And about 40% of your business is international. So has that type of diversification helped the overall business?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you know, notwithstanding what's going on in the U.S., I mean, there's been, you know, Asia has done a terrific job with controlling the pandemic, and they opened earlier than the U.S. did, and that has been to our benefit for sure. You know, and at the same time, I got, you know, the resilience of the American people as well to open, and you know, God willing, we get through this thing. We're pretty comfortable that our international business is going to continue to grow, and so is our domestic business. And Alex, let me just turn it back on you for a second. I mean, you asked some great questions on COVID. What have you learned from you? I mean, you have an incredibly successful company, different company than ABG, you know, different mandate than ABG. What have you learned, and what are you going to apply with you and your people going forward?
The number one thing, Nick, we've done is we've turned the lens inward, and that means we want to take full inventory of how are we doing things, how's our team, how are things flowing. As the leader of my company, the first thing I wanted to do is, in the most turbulent time, I wanted to make sure that put everybody at ease. We haven't made one fire. We haven't cut not 1% of anyone's salary. That was important to me, because I think the way you create culture and loyalty is that when things get rocky, the leader's very stable and very on point. Then I started meeting with my team every day at 10 a.m. For a long time throughout the pandemic, because I wanted them to know that we were good, that we're moving in the right direction. As a matter of fact, we've brought in a handful of people. Instead of going the other way like most companies, we've added people. And I think, like ABG, here's where we're alike. I think we'll be better when we come out of this, because we'll be leaner, we'll be meaner, but our thought process, we may not be leaner in people, but our process and the way we follow through and execute will be more efficient. And I think what we're doing right now, whether it's Zoom or any other platform you use, I think will expedite things for us, whether that's a quick yes or a quick no, better than a slow maybe.
Well said, Alex. Well, listen, I can't, like everybody else, I can't wait to raise a Presidente with you in person, whether it's 6 feet apart or with a mask on or whatnot. And I can't wait to see you and Jennifer and family, and happy you guys are doing great and business is great. And like you started us off with some great words on you know, wishing everyone well, and horrible what's going on. And I think you and I, one of my answers all the time, people say, how are you? I usually say better than most, because we're fortunate in you know, how we've been able to weather through this. But I'll let you wrap it up with what you want to say to people who are watching, or anything else, Alex.
Yeah, no, Nick, always great seeing you. I think I'm honored and humbled to always talk to you. I always feel like I learned so much, and truly one of the great companies in America. I really feel that way. And, you know, for all the people listening, I would just say, you know, tough times will make you better. On the other hand, have good faith, have good thoughts, you know, work hard, prepare, and good things will happen for you. And you have to believe it. And attitude will determine altitude.